Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Goofy charm. Before we start, I'd like to thank Ashly Riker, who came up with this amazing Goofy design based on my YouTube hippo tutorial. Ashly sent me these pictures on Facebook and asked me to do a tutorial to share with everyone. I made some modifications to Ashly's design, but the majority of it definitely came from her. So thanks, Ashly, and great job. To make this Goofy, and if you want to make him exactly like this one, you'll need 54 orange rubber bands, 51 blacks, 35 blue, and this is navy blue, 45 flesh color rubber bands, and the flesh ones can be bought from AC Moore, 24 green, and this is lime green, 30 whites for his gloves and his teeth, 2 reds for this tongue, and 16 brown, or whatever color you want the boots to be. So let's get started. Let's make Goofy's arm, and this is one of them, and I will show you how to make the other one. So you'll have to pause the video to make the second one. So to make the arms, we are going to use orange, 2 single orange, and we're coming down 5 times. 2 single orange. That's 3, 4, 5. And now to add a little bit of his skin, we're taking a single black, double it, and putting it from where the orange was last. And now we are going to add his fingers and gloves, and we're going to do that on the hook. Taking a single white, we're going to loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single white, double, and we'll pull the looped bands onto the single we doubled. Take another single, double, and pulling those right onto, you can twist the center down so we don't twist the top band. Get it onto your hook, and you're going to do this 2 more times. Taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single, double it, don't stretch it out too much. Pulling those bands onto your hook like that. Taking another single, double, and getting it right onto your hook. Now his last finger, same thing, take a single, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single, double, and pulling it right onto your hook. Another single, double, and getting it, looping it right onto your hook like that. Now taking 2 single white rubber bands, and we're going to pull all his fingers right onto the 2 single white rubber bands and looping it right onto a hook like that, so our fingers are onto our hook. Now we're taking a single, and we're going to loop it twice to create 3 loops like that onto a hook. Now taking a single, double it, and pulling the 3 looped rubber bands, or the single we loop twice to create 3 loops on our rubber band. Pulling one side of the glove, it has 2 single rubber bands, the one side onto our rubber band. Get your index finger right through that one side where your hook is. Take it off of your hook out of that side. Get it onto the other side where your middle finger is, and pull it through. Transfer it right onto our hook. And now we are adding it right to where the black was. And this also acts as a cap band. So get it on there. And now we are going to loop up. So go under the gloves. If you want to, pull it back so you can expose the black parts. Pull it up and onto itself, creating teardrops as you go. And now we are going to take it off the loom and put it aside for later. And we're going to need some holding hooks, but this one we can just carefully put it to the side like that. So you'll have to pause the video to make your second hand. Now we are going to make the foot extension, starting with 2 single blue rubber bands for the pants. We're putting it from first peg to the second peg, and we're doing it twice. And let's take a single black, double it, and putting it on the 4th to the 5th peg. And now let's make the boot for Goofy's boot. Taking 2 single brown rubber band, whatever color you want your boots to be, and looping it twice to create 3 loops. Taking 2 single rubber bands, get it on your hook, and pulling those looped bands onto your hook like that. And now you're going to take a single brown and looping it twice to create 3 loops. Taking 2 single rubber bands, 2 brown, and we're going to pull your looped rubber bands onto the 2 single. Let's pull one side of the boot over. Put your index finger through one side where the hook was, transfer your hook to the other side, and pull the rubber bands through and looping it right onto our hook like that. And let's add some boots to the pants. So at the bottom we are going to take 2 single brown rubber bands and putting it twice down. Now we're going to take this part, the tip of our boot, and add it to the last rubber band, or last peg where we ended our brown. Pull it back, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and looping it onto itself, and just keep going up. And here, one side of his pants, I just made it blue like that. And for our Goofy, I made one side of his knee have some patches on it. So I'm going to do that for this side. So you can make one without any patch on the knee and one with the patch. So with the patch, you're going to take a single brown or whatever color you want your patch to be and loop it twice to create 3 loops. And pulling our rubber band off the loom, one side, pulling the looped brown rubber bands onto it, and looping it right onto itself. There's the patch up for the knee in our pants. Take it off the loom and put it on a holding hook for later. And this one we can't just put it to a side like this because our patch will come off. So take your holding hook and put it aside for later. Now let's make the ear, and I made one, so you'll have to pause the video to make the second ear. Taking a single black, put it from the first peg, any peg, you can do both at the same time, first peg to the second peg, and the next 3 we're going to take 2 single rubber bands, 2 blacks, and coming down 3 times. That's 2, 3, and we are going to come one more time down with 3 single rubber bands towards the end of his ears. Now take a single black and loop it once to create 2 loops. So go under that cap band, grab the bottom 3, make sure you hold your cap band down and looping it onto itself, and just keep going up his ear. And let's take it off the loom and put it aside for later. And for the ear, you can just take it off. We'll fix it later, but just put it aside. It shouldn't come apart. For the eyes, we are going to take a single rubber band and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single white, double, and getting his eyes right onto the white rubber band and looping it right onto the hook like that. Do the same for his second eye. Taking a single black, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single white, double it, pulling the eyes right onto your hook. And now we are going to take a flesh color rubber band, a single, and pulling the eyes right onto that rubber band that's going to go on the face. And you can put it aside for later. It shouldn't come off. Now let's make the top of the mouth. Taking 2 single rubber band. This is flesh color. It can be bought at AC Moore. Put it from the first to the second peg of each row with 2 single rubber bands. Now with a single rubber band, we're going to put it on either side from the second to the third peg and repeat on the other side. And we'll come down with 2 single rubber bands on the side third to the 4th peg and repeat on the other side. And taking 2 single rubber bands from the 4th to the center to close up Goofy's mouth and repeat on the other side to close up his mouth. Like that, and you want to push this down so you can loop it easier later. Now coming down the center of the top of the mouth, we're coming down with 2 single rubber bands all the way to close up his mouth. And now taking a single rubber band, we're going to put a holding rubber band there, a single rubber band, single, double it, and we're putting it for creating that triangle there. Taking 2 singles towards the end of the mouth here, and we're putting it across like that. You can create the triangle if you want. Let's add his nose to the top here. So we're taking a single rubber band, black, and we're looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single black, double it, and getting the looped bands onto the single. And we are going to put it on the tip here of his nose, the very last peg. You can pull it forward. Now let's make Goofy's teeth. Taking a single rubber band and crossing it over on the end of our peg and then cross it back. And we'll need to make 2. So again, take your single, put it on a peg, cross it over, cross it back, and we'll loop the bottom right onto itself, creating your knot for his teeth. Same thing on the other side. Bring the bottom over the peg, creating your knot. Take your teeth off the loom, and let's add it onto this peg and this peg. So the 4th peg on either side from the top. Get your teeth onto your hook and loop it right onto that 4th peg. And repeat on the other side. And now we are going to go under the nose, the black nose, grabbing the top 2 band, looping it onto itself, and let's go right up the center of the top of the mouth here to the very top. Go under the nose band again, grabbing the bottom 2 or the top 2 and looping onto itself. Let's finish that peg, go under the noseband, grabbing the bottom two and looping it onto itself. And now you can do either side. Make sure you go inside the peg all the way to the bottom, grabbing the bottom two and looping it onto itself. Repeat on the other side, same thing. You want to release any tension, but it also evens out your rubber band. And now we are going to put on a holding hook for later. Take it off the loom very carefully. There's top of Goofy's mouth, and we can push the teeth in underneath so it shows at the bottom. Just pull it through. And it'll be at the bottom there. Same thing on the other side, it'll be on the side like that. You want to go under those bands and pull his teeth through. You can always fix it later if you want. So that's his teeth, that's the top of his mouth, that's what it should look like. Let's do the bottom of his mouth. Again, we're doing flesh color rubber bands, 2 single rubber bands on either side. Push it down, taking a single rubber band, pulling it from the second peg to the third center. Taking a single rubber band, putting it from the second to the third peg on either side. Now taking 2 single rubber bands from the third to the center, and repeat on the other side. 2 single rubber bands and push it down. And now for the center, we're going to add a little bit of tongue. So taking 2 single reds and putting it from the third to the fourth peg. Taking a single flesh color rubber band, and we're looping the end peg there off 3 times to create 4 loops. And let's put some holding rubber bands, taking a single, double, putting it across there, single, double, putting it across there. Let's loop up, go under the cap band, grabbing the top 2 tongue, very carefully, and looping it right onto itself, creating teardrop. Go back in, grabbing the next 2, looping it onto itself, and the last 2 right onto itself. Go in where the tongue is, go in that third peg from the top, the center, grabbing the top single and looping it right onto the side. Make sure it creates a teardrop. Repeat on the other side. Now go in the side, grab the single, looping it onto itself, and finish up your one side and repeat on the other. Go under, grabbing the single, and there. Now our bottom of the mouth is done. Let's go ahead and take it off of our loom carefully. And put it on a holding hook for later. You can adjust the tongue once it's on there. Let's make his vest. We're taking a single black rubber band and we're putting it, and this will be on Goofy's left side. So taking another single, putting it down, will come down 4 times with single black rubber bands. Now on the third peg from the side, we're coming diagonally. We'll come down once on the side and close it off. taking a single and we're looping it once to create 2 loops, taking another single, double it, and putting it from that peg to that peg. Now go under the cap band, grabbing the top single, looping it onto itself, go back in, grab the next single, and let's do the side first before we do the straight up and down one. So come out to the side, loop it up and onto itself, and bringing it to the long side like that. Now go back in, grab the bottom two, make sure you have teardrops, up and down. That's the left side of his vest, and we're going to take it off. We're going to attach it from this peg and that peg onto our body, but we'll do that later. And we're just going to take it off right now and putting it aside for later. So just very carefully, don't let it come apart. That's what his vest should look like. That's the left side. You can always turn it around. Let's make the right. Same thing, just coming down with single rubber bands 4 times. If you can't do it on this side, just repeat on the other side and flip your vest over when we put it on. So that's 4 single rubber bands coming down 4 times. And taking a single, going diagonally from the 3rd peg, diagonally, coming down 1 and closing it off. Taking a single, looping it once to create 2 loops, taking a single, double it, and putting it from this peg to that peg, creating your holding rubber band, and go under the cap band. This cap band rubber band is also your connector rubber band to his body later. So let's do the side that bulges out first and coming into the straight edge. Go under the cap band or the connector band, grabbing this bottom single, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops. And we want to take it off the loom, and again put it aside for later to add to our body. That's the right vest. Let's make Goofy's hat, taking a single rubber band, coming down each row with a single rubber band. Now with 2 single rubber bands, and this is lime green color, taking it from the side 2nd to the center 3rd. Repeat for the other side, and let's close it off from the center 2nd to the center 3rd and push these rubber bands down. Let's go ahead and take 2 single rubber bands and put it from the center 3rd to the center 4th, and let's go diagonally with 2 single rubber bands from the 3rd center diagonally like that, taking 2 more single rubber bands and repeat on the other side. And now we are coming down the side with a single rubber band, taking 2 single rubber bands and putting it from the center to the side diagonally. Repeat on the other side, like so. And now let's do the extension for the hat, taking a single rubber band on either side. That's 1 peg down, not a connecting. Taking a single and looping it 3 times, looping it twice to create 3 loops, and repeat on the other side. Taking a single rubber band, looping it twice to create 3 loops. And now we're going in under those cap bands, grab the bottom single, looping it onto itself, and repeat on the other side. Same thing. And now we're going to attach this one and this one to this and this. So we're going to take it off the loom, we're attaching it from the 3rd and to the fourth peg, to the third peg, and to the fourth. So one side we're holding with our hand, the ones we just looped up, and the other side we're taking with a hook. So you should have it like that, and attaching the hook part to this peg here, the fourth one on the side, and the other one we're looping it right onto the third peg, and repeating on the other side. Grab one side with your finger, the other side with your hook, and attach the cap band side onto the fourth peg and the other side right onto the third peg. Now we're going under the side cap band, grabbing the top two and looping it right onto itself, onto the center fourth peg. Repeat on the other side, grabbing the top two, and looping it right onto that fourth peg, center fourth peg. Let's go in the sides, grabbing the bottom single, looping it onto itself, and finishing one side, looping it into the center third peg. And repeat on the other side, go under, grabbing the single, looping it onto itself, and finishing up that one side of the hat. Like that. Go inside the fourth peg, grabbing the bottom two single bands, and looping it right onto itself, creating teardrops. And we're going inside the third peg in the center. We're grabbing the top two bands and looping it right onto itself. It should come to the center, and we can just finish this one up. The center peg, go back in the third center, grab the next top two, and mine's going to the left. I'm going to finish up my left side. Go back in, grabbing the bottom two, and there. And now we're going to take our hat off the loom, and we won't take these three pegs off. We're going to put it on a holding hook to add it to our head later. Very carefully get our holding hook and put our hat. There should be two rubber bands on each peg. There's our hat, and we are going to take a single black, and we're going to loop it twice or loop it once to create two loops to make it look like that for the ring around our hat. And let's put it aside for later. To make Goofy, taking two black single rubber bands and putting it from the center peg down one, two black single rubber bands, coming diagonally on both sides, and we'll come two down with two single rubber bands. We'll come on either side with two single rubber bands for his head. Now making his face, taking two single flesh color rubber bands and coming down once on either side, like that. And we'll come down twice in the center. And we want to push this down. This will be the chin peg right here. And we'll come on the sides with two single rubber band, the flesh color, and pushing it down. And that completes his face. Now we'll add the neck with three single black rubber bands from the chin peg down one, like so. Let's add his shirt with two single orange rubber bands. We're coming diagonally from the neck, and repeat on the other side, and we'll come down 4 times with two single rubber bands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat on the other side, two single rubber bands, And come down the center of his body with 2 single rubber bands. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do his pants. Taking 2 single blue and coming down once on either side and coming down on from the side to the center to close off his pants like that. Repeat on the other side. Push it down. This is like the chin peg, but it's at his bottom. And coming down the center to close it off with 2 single rubber bands, 2 single rubber bands each. Now let's come down his legs with 2 single rubber bands at a time and come down twice. Repeat on the other side, 2 single rubber bands on either side. So let's add his pants, and I'm going to add the one with the patch on the knee on the left side. You can do either side, just make sure you get all the rubber bands right onto that last peg. And repeat on the other side. Get the pants on your hook and looping it right all onto the last peg. Let's loop his bottom here with a single rubber band and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Let's put some holding rubber bands, taking 2 single around his chest area like that, taking a single, double, putting it right there. Now taking 2 singles, I'm going to take 2 single orange and creating a triangle here. Now I'm going to take 2 single blues and putting it right here around his pants. And let's add his eyes. I'm going to add it across, so from the second peg to the second peg across, and split them out. I'm taking a single holding rubber band and putting it around the eyes, and a single rubber band and putting it around the nose area. Push it down. Now let's add his ears. Taking your ears and putting it through the hook like that and looping it on the top peg there, side peg, and repeat on the other side. Get the ear, putting it through the top 2 loops and getting it onto that peg there. And let's add the hat, and we want to split them up into 2 groups of 3 rubber bands each. We're putting 1 set on the center peg, the very top, like that. Now add the second set to the other side, like that. So I have 3 rubber bands on each. Let's add his arms, taking your arms from where you had it and putting it through the loops and putting it onto the arm peg. Repeat on the other side, putting it through the loops. There should be 4 rubber bands, and putting it onto that shoulder peg there. And let's loop up. Go under his leg, pull it back if you want, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and looping it right onto itself, creating teardrops. And we're going to come up right there to that peg where his bottom starts, and repeat on the other side. Hold it down, make sure it doesn't come up, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops. Stop there. Go in the center peg, go under the cap band, grabbing the top 2 bands and looping it onto itself, creating teardrop. Go back in, grabbing the next top 2 and looping it onto itself, in the last two. If there's any tension, release it. Don't break your rubber band. Now let's add his vest, and we're going to add with the connector band first. Let's wait for where the top loop is. So you should hold it in your hand like this, and we're going to add it on the fourth peg down from where the arm is. So we're going to put it, the connector band or the cap band for a vest, right there. Same thing on the other side. We're adding it from the fourth peg down from the shoulder or hand where the arms are. And don't let it come apart, just keep it very still. Go in the pants now and loop up all the way to the shoulder peg. Just reach under, grabbing the bottom two bands and looping it onto itself, creating teardrops as you go. And stop at the shoulder peg like that. Do the other side, go under the pants, grabbing the bottom two bands, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops. Just go up, grabbing the bottom two bands, stop at the shoulder where the arms are. And now we are adding the vest top onto our shoulder rubber band. So we're getting the loop for our vest onto a hook. Reach in, grabbing the bottom two band, loop our vest right onto that shoulder rubber band, and looping it right onto that center peg. So that's the fifth peg from the top. And repeat on the other side. Go in the loop where the vest is, put it onto your hook, go inside, grabbing the bottom two, pulling it out very carefully, get our vest onto that rubber band and looping it right onto itself, and hold it. And now we want to come up the center of the body. Make sure you see teardrops up and down your body. And looping it right to that neck peg. So here I'm going to create the turtleneck part of the shirt. So I'm going to take the color of the shirt, which is a single orange, and I'm going to loop it once. And for him, I did it twice to create 3 loops, and it seemed a little tight. So I'm going to try it, just looping it once to create 2 loops. Now we want to grab the neck rubber band. Should be 3 single rubber bands, black. And we're going to get all that rubber band onto our hook. Like that, it's right now off of the loom. We're onto our hook. And we are pulling his turtleneck area right onto all those black rubber bands and looping those black rubber bands right onto that chin peg. Like that, and now his turtleneck is on. We're going to reach in that neck peg, so the 4th from the top, and I'm looping it right onto itself, creating teardrops. Reach back in, do the same thing. Then my last one is going up the center, and I want to push it down. So now I'm adding the bottom of the mouth, and there should be 2 separations, and it should be 4 single rubber bands each. So I'm going to connect it on this peg, and I'm going to pull it under the 4th peg. So on each side, I'm going to put it. So that's the 3rd peg from the top on the side. Pull it under the 4th peg in the center and loop it right onto the 3rd peg on the other side and pull it right under like that. So you just connect it on this peg and that peg. And now we want to add the top of his mouth onto these 3 pegs. So there should be 4 rubber bands per, should be 3 sets of 4 rubber bands. So attaching from on this peg, and that peg, very carefully, pushing it down, making sure all the rubber bands get on your pegs. Now that it's on, let's go in the side peg, push go all the way to the bottom, get the bottom 2 bands and looping it onto itself, creating teardrops. Go in the side, looping it onto itself, and going in the ear peg, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, looping it onto itself, and repeating on the other side. Go all the way under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands. Just keep it coming up the side of the face. Go under the ears, grabbing the bottom 2 and looping it onto itself. Make sure you see teardrops. Now in the center of the face, the 3rd peg, loop up, and finishing the last black rubber band. And now to finish them off with the slip knot rubber band, taking a single, putting your hook all the way through, grabbing your slip knot rubber band, and we want to go under the hat, pull the hat up, and grab the other side of a slip knot and pull it through, and creating your slip knot like that. Now we're ready to take them off the loom. So there's our Goofy. Push his eyes out from behind and pull it out a little bit. Pull his ears down. Fix his hat and fix any loose rubber bands that you see. Fix his boots. His arms. You can tuck in the charm string if you want. So there's Goofy. I hope you like him. Thanks for watching.